right, man. You're ready to go.
Welcome to Race Time Radio. You'll hear from the best in Canadian U.S. racing this week. Grab a cold one and stick around.
You're good. They got a car in the wall.
The starter tower has signaled. We're ready to roll. It's Race Time Radio. It starts right now. Here's your host, Joe Chisholm.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to Race Time Radio. So glad you could tune in tonight, all live on SiriusXM Channel 167 Canada Talks, as well on our YouTube channel, RaceTimeRadioTV, and maybe you're tuned in online at RaceTimeRadio.com. Whatever way you've tuned in tonight, good evening and welcome. You may notice that there is no Joe Jr. in the studio tonight. He's got himself a banged-up foot, got a fracture on the side of it, and he has been a hurting unit for a few days, couldn't make it down the stairs here. So we used the power of the internet. We got Junior from the Junior Hotel. What's going on there, June Buck? How are you?
Hey, just limping around.
Yeah.
It's definitely a little bit tough. Couch ridden for a little bit. Going to be surfing around on a couch for, by the looks of it, a couple weeks, but it's clicking right along.
Yeah.
At least I had the Chili Bowl to watch.
Yeah, some pretty exciting stuff at the Chili Bowl this year. We've seen a mondo number of flips. We've seen one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in motorsports with Ashton coming out of the car. Thank God he's okay, and he was back to the track. But we did see a lot of great racing in the Chili Bowl this year, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, for sure. Just the ever-growing event that is the Chili Bowl. Man, it's quite a spectacle. You know, you look at the job that Flow Racing did and the coverage that they're able to do. It's no joke doing 10 hours a day for 2 weeks straight.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, with all the coverage that they do, they did such a great job. And hats off. This year they did it a lot different. Flow Racing used to cover all the preliminary stuff, and then they would hand the keys over to MAV TV, and it would be a completely separate broadcast. Not the case this year. They basically took the live feed from MAV or from Flow and put it on MAV. Just a great showing, and also an awesome event overall.
Yeah, like 390 cars showed up to this. Am I correct in that? Like 390?
I believe there was 390 entries and 370 some odd cars. It was incredible. Looking back, there was all the way to the F2 for the alphabet soup, or it might have even been the G. Start kicking the day off on Saturday morning. Wall to wall, tons of cars. They had tons of cars leading up to the event as well, with all the other midget divisions and micro sprints and stuff like that for the Tulsa Shootout leading up to the Chili Bowl festival. Just an incredible, it's kind of like a mecca of motorsports, really. You look at all the different disciplines. There was everybody from drag racers to sprint car racers to NASCAR Cup Series drivers to local Saturday night winged and non-winged sprint car guys. So, the talent list is incredible every year. The parity, you look at the times and all of those great things. Man, there was races in there where they were clicking off the same lap times, lap after lap, and it's such a cool event. It's one of those things where if you could bottle it and sell it, we'd all live on a beach somewhere, and every event would be like that.
Incredible. Let me tell you who we got coming on the show tonight. Got a stacked up lineup for you. Of course, they're going to be speaking with Junior for the first segment. Then we're going to get off to a guy that was at the Chili Bowl. Didn't qualify the way he wanted to, but nevertheless, Glenn Styres, Oswego Speedway. We all know Glenn from the Pinty Series, Oswego, and all things dirt. Glenn was present and accounted for at the Chili Bowl. I was texting him back and forth with him, and his qualifier went good, Junior. He did real good. I want to say he finished second in that, moved up to the feature where he wrecked out that particular night, and that put him into Saturday's alphabet soup, and things didn't fare out the way he wanted to. He ended up wrecking out of that one in a big fashion. We will catch up with Glenn Styres on the show tonight in hour number one, as a matter of fact. We'll also catch up with Tony Stevens, PitRowTV. You know what I'm talking about. If you're a short track fan, you probably have PitRowTV, or you've viewed a race on PitRowTV. Tony Stevens, the principal of PitRowTV, going to join the show. Thought it'd be a great time to get Tony on the show and find out what we can look forward to with races coming down the line. I know there was some big news with the Cars Tour. The 4 NASCAR guys jumped in there. Want to find out the effects, if there is any effects, with Tony and his staff moving forward. We got lots of questions for Tony Stevens here tonight on the show. Then, in hour number 2, we got Greg MacPherson going to come on. Yeah, Motorama is coming up March 10th, 11th, and 12th at the International Center in Toronto. You don't want to miss it. You're going to see a ton of racetracks here, lots of race cars from all different disciplines. And, oh, by the way, a Dynamite Car Show as well. We got Greg MacPherson going to come on. He's always got lots of information from here all the way to showtime in talking about different guests and different features that are coming up. We will pick Greg MacPherson's brain tonight and find out what we can look forward to coming up into the big show. And then off to the West Coast we go. Unfinished business, the best way to put it, with Trevor Seibert. We never talked any RS1 Cup Series racing last week, Junior and I and Trevor. We ran out of time. We talked to him about Penticton Speedway. The schedule is now launched. You know the Western Rattler 300 is on that schedule for Penticton. We talked to him in length about that last week, but we never got to talk any RS1 Cup. And that is a huge, huge part of the West Coast. And I know I look forward to catching up with Trevor here tonight. Trying to do a little bit of an extended stay with Trev here tonight, Joe. And I should be able to pull all the info that fans are looking for, and competitors for that fact, with the RS1 Cup Series. But, man, what a weekend. They got after it at Daytona. The ARCA, presented by Menard Series, was at Daytona. Have a look at the top 4 speeds. We're all Venturini. One at the top had a connection. A guy that you worked with all last summer was on top of the box. And second spot was also a Venturini car, and it was a Canadian to boot. Amber Balkan, second quick at Daytona.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty cool. Caden Lapsovich did a wonderful job this year as a crew chief. Obviously, everybody knows he's a heck of a driver. He's strapped into a lot of different machinery, and he's walked away with a lot of different hardware. He's making a name for himself as a crew guy. You look at some of the names that he's worked with over the past couple of years, working for Rowdy and Hamke and Cody Glick and those guys. He spent a lot of time working with them. Worked with Whitey and those guys and the GM Paye team as well, working with all the other Whitey Motorsports teams as well, through the week. Of course, working, on his dad's program and his brother's program and his own program. He's a guy that has always rolled up the sleeves and he's a guy that understands the race car that's underneath him. So when you get a driver like that understands what it takes to win as a driver, what it takes to, be a winning driver, and you put them on top of a pit box, it becomes very easy for them to make a big splash in whatever pond that they're in. You look at some of the most successful crew chiefs, and they came out of being successful drivers.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Rodney Childers, for instance, spent a ton of time driving super late models all across the Southeast and driving NASCAR late model stock cars. You look down through the list of crew chiefs in the Cup Series, and a majority of them came out of, driving a race car.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the team and everything that Billy Venturini has over there, it's a potent mix to mix in a young guy like Caden. now obviously doesn't have the experience that a lot of the other guys do on the big tracks, the super speedways and those sorts of things. But leaning on the resource network and all of that stuff that Venturini has, it's all about coming at it with a new perspective and that youthful exuberance that comes out with a young guy like Caden. They'll come up with new ideas, and it's just walking the dog the different direction, right? And you always get a different perspective of what's happening, in the world of racing when you get different mentalities on top of that pit box. And I think it's going to be a potent mixture with him and Tony for the 11 races. It's definitely cool. I sent him a text and congratulated him. I asked him, what restrictor plate he had in it, because it was just testing. Yeah. Venturini does, every year for testing, Venturini does some PR laps, but
sure.
It was good. It was cool to see, and by the sounds of it, he's pretty excited.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and he's the 2016 NASCAR Pinty's champion, of course, Caden Lapcevich. I was texting with Caden before the test, wanted to get him lined up for next week here on Race Time Radio, and I got that secured. So we will hear from Caden Lapcevich next week on the program. Figured I'd give him a little bit of time. He's going to wrap up testing, get back to the shop, and, hey, he's going to be able to lean on all, like when you talk Daytona, you got Billy Sr., you got Billy, you got Tom, you got all the guys at the Venturini Motorsports shop that Caden's going to be able to rely on, too. Like you say, Joe, Daytona, he won't have the information, not like a lot of the different crew chiefs that would be out there that are experienced at the big tracks. But when it comes time for nuts and bolts and every other kind of facility, Caden Lapcevich is going to be the man. Obviously, Venturini had that car ready to go, and I know Caden would have had his hand in it. He would have learned as much as Tony did at the test. Kind of cool that Caden Lapcevich is going to be there, and he's got a fast bullet and a good driver in Tony, by the sounds of it. 61 cars took times. That's a lot of ARCA cars. We're used to seeing around that before the pandemic. Maybe we're back to normal car numbers.
61 drivers took time.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So in ARCA, it's not unheard of for a team to show up there with 5 or 6 different drivers to get their drivers solidified. Maybe they're only going to run to Talladega, right, but they need to get approved to be able to do so, or maybe they're only going to run Michigan or what have you. I believe the car count was 34 at the test itself. But that being said, it hopefully is. This carbon body that they have now is in full swing in ARCA. The combination between the K&N series and the ARCA series is now, a couple of years in the books. You're seeing a rebound, if you will, of car count. In both the East and the West, and then as well in the main ARCA Menard series. I think that you're going to see a decent car count. I don't think you're going to see the 50 cars like you used to see, just simply because it costs so much. The costs are so much different now when it comes time for ARCA.
And I want to say only 36 or 38 qualify, of which there are a couple provisionals too. So. Yeah, you got a pretty thin line in there that you got to walk if you plan on going to Daytona and qualifying for the ARCA 200.
I wouldn't doubt that you see, 4 or 5 cars go home. That's kind of where I would see a solid field for Daytona. If you see 4 or 5 cars go home, that's going to be kind of the way that ARCA is kind of playing out over the last couple of years. But even they're still going to have a full field. It's still going to be a great show. It's going to be the kickoff to Speed Weeks, just like normal, and it's going to be fun to watch. But when you look at the Canadian involvement down south, just this past weekend, you got a handful of drivers in the Chili Bowl. You got crew chiefs and drivers testing at Daytona. You've got guys down south. We've got LP Dumoulin's car is in the NASCAR Hall of Fame on Glory Road.
Cool.
There's so much Canadian involvement down south. it's really cool. It's a cool time to be a Canadian in motorsports.
Well, I was just on the New Smyrna website, the New Smyrna Speedway website, of course, seeing for the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing. Night number 1 comes up. I want to say it's February the 10th this year. Night number 1. They got the list of entries, had to run through it. Not a lot of Canadian involvement. Of course, we had on last week, we had on Norm Newman with his modified. He's heading down there. Don't know whether I can say I remember seeing Norm's name on the list, the entry list, but I know he's heading that way. The other name that stood out to me was a crafty Canadian that has been going down year after year, and that's Nicholas Noggle from Canada's East Coast. We'll have to check in with Nick and find out his thoughts heading down to New Smyrna. He's a threat to win down there.
Yeah, definitely. He was actually at the Red Eye. He competed in the Red Eye a few weeks back. Didn't get the results that he wanted, but he was there and competed and in the super late model division. The past couple of years we've seen Nicholas bring both a pro late model and a super. It leaves one in the box though, and it'll be interesting to see if he chooses to run super or run pro. By the sounds of it, he's going to run super because they had both there at the Red Eye. And I believe he only unloaded the super, so it'll be interesting to see what he does. I think that there's going to be a surprise name pop up in there from Canada in the pro late model side of things, maybe for a handful of nights. And I think that there's going to be also probably a surprise on the modified side. I know there's a couple of guys that have modifieds that fit the rule book, so it'll be interesting. I don't think that it's going to be as strong as it used to be, but I think that when you look at all of the different placements for Canadians, they're taking a look at different races. The Snowflake 100 is very attractive.
Mm-hmm.
The Nashville 400 is very attractive as well, and with the improvements coming, I know a lot of guys are looking at that North Wilkesboro race as well.
Yep.
So it's going to be really, really interesting over the next year and a half, 2 years. It does cost a tremendous amount of money to run New Smyrna Speed Weeks.
Well, it's like running a full season in 9 nights.
Exactly. It's a full season at reduced pay. That's the craziest part about it, is that it is a full season, but you're only running for a fraction of what it is normally. So it's at a track that's very difficult on equipment. It's not, you don't hit anything lightly at New Smyrna Speedway. So
no.
You can gobble up some equipment in a hurry. It's difficult on motors because the thing is spinning so high all the time, and
it's a hell of a ride.
It's expensive on tires. So when you look at the proposition, when you look at the dollar, where the Canadian dollar is right now, it's not conducive. Speed Week is a difficult proposition for a lot of these teams. So, but I'm okay with that. And it ebbs and flows. We've seen it where 20 Canadians were down there. We've seen it where there's 3 Canadians down there. So I think that it's still healthy. It's going to be a great Speed Weeks, and by the looks of it, there's a lot of dirt guys that are going to be down at Volusia. Yeah.
A lot of dirt guys. There are going to be a lot of race fans at both the tracks and Daytona. Let's face it. It's like a 20-mile radius in between all of them. If you go to Daytona International, you're close to New Smyrna, you're close to Barberville. You can get all of it in. And truly a short track fan, a race car fan, you want to head to Speed Weeks at Daytona, at New Smyrna, or at Volusia County Speedway. All of the above are going to be off the charts. And I know we always check in with New Smyrna, get them on. 10 different divisions are going to take the green flag over the 9 nights of racing called the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing. It's going to be exciting.
It will be, for sure. It's definitely awesome. And I heard that on the program tonight you're going to have Greg MacPherson on. Talked to Greg earlier on in the week. Of course, my new position with Corey McAllister and Two Speed Motorsports. We've got a booth lined up for the Motorama.
Good.
We're going to be unveiling a bunch of new stuff, and Greg has got some crazy cool things happening with that Motorama show. He always does. There's always some neat little tidbits that come out towards the beginning or towards the unveiling of the show. And I can't wait to hear what he's got to say tonight.
Lots of stuff happened locally, too. Sunset Speedway has been lighting the lamp, of course. NASCAR's back. They've been doing a lot of announcing. I tried to get Brian Todish to come on the show tonight, but he's unavailable. But there is lots happening there. I got to say, I read through the posts, and like about 50% of them were on the negative side, 50% on the positive side. And you got the 31 car in the middle going, hey, give it a chance. Let's find out where it goes. I'd like to get Brian Todish on here. He's making news, I can put it that way.
He is, for sure. And I don't think that Rick Walt is alone by any stretch of the imagination when he's saying give it a chance. The NASCAR Wheel-In Series, and now it's the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Series, has been a great program.
Sure.
I've been a part of it. I've worked on race teams that have raced in it. I've watched it from the outside. I've seen it. I've been a part of it. Everybody says that it costs the race teams extra money and this and that.
And it does. There's no doubt.
It does, but it's such a minute amount of money. We're not talking $500 here. We're talking 150 to 200 on the membership side per guy. So typically it's okay if a race team has their guys pay for their own or they don't have it, right?
Yeah.
It's that little membership card comes with a life insurance policy that you don't get with anyone anywhere else.
Right.
If you have a NASCAR membership and you're hurt at the racetrack, you'd be glad to have that NASCAR membership. So, when you look at the value of that and how much it pays out, it's going to be the best paying proposition in short track racing next year.
Yeah.
When you look at the top tier, when you look at the championship, when you look at a guy that can make it into the top 500, it's going to be one of the best paying propositions in short track racing here in Canada. So it's going to be interesting to see it all lay out. I think that it made some bold moves, obviously, with the Oscar Hot Rods.
And he changed the body, right? He changed the body. He allows up to a 1986, where you see Oscar only does, with the Hot Rods, they only allow up to 74. So they're not really working too tight together there. But, Joe, we got lots to talk about over the time. But I do got to scoot along. I'm going to have Glenn Styres up here at 7:25. Just wanted you to know, I reached out to Brian Todish. Wasn't available this week. Hopefully next week or, one of these few coming weeks, because the guy is making lots of noise.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool to see. And when you see Glenn, tell him I say congratulations and glad he's okay after that big ride that he took.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys that you're going to see down at New Smyrna Speed Week. So he's trading the midget in for a pro late model, and he's going to go burn some rubber on Florida's fastest half mile. It's going to be cool.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. Glenn Styres is coming up next. Junior, thanks for jumping on here. Good to hear that you're feeling a little bit better. And you never know, I may be back to you yet tonight to jump back on. Stay tuned.
Can you bring some ice for my foot?
I can after the show. After the show. Stick it out the window. It's freezing outside tonight. Thanks so much, Junior. You bet. So that is Joe Jr. Off, not at the RaceTime Radio studio this week, but he will be back, I can guarantee you. You heard it the other day, and sucks when you got a bad foot and you got to try and walk down 12 stairs to get into the studio. But I know he will be back. And so will we. We're going to hit a quick break here on RaceTime Radio. Next up, a guy that was at the Chili Bowl with his own eyes, his own car, Glenn Styres, going to join us on the other side of the break. So you stay right there. Don't you go anywhere. RaceTime Radio is just getting started.
Hello, race fans. This is Avion ready, and you're listening to the best of RaceTime Radio.
From coast to coast. You're listening to Canada Talks.
When you think NASCAR, think SiriusXM NASCAR Radio.
This may be the most important thing that's ever happened.
You're damn right, baby.
The races.
The Daytona 500 win.
I love that we have playoff racing now.
The talk shows.
We'd love for you guys to participate as well.
The unprecedented access.
Well, I'm here at the red carpet with the fans.
SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90.
Chastain did a video game move.
Also streaming on the SXM app.
I think they're happy down here.
Even though Napa is a nationally known name, nearly all of our stores are built from the ground up by local owners and families. People you might call neighbors will be here, there, and everywhere. Doing what neighbors do to keep their communities moving forward. Stop by a Napa Auto Parts store. You can count on Napa know-how.
Tonight's Racetime Radio is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts Stores, New Glasgow, Penticton, and Port Hawkesbury, Nova Scotia. You can count on Napa know-how.
AP Race Fuels, the worldwide leader in race fuel technology.
Nothing connects like country music. Country music. Dig in to SiriusXM's Country Universe. The next generation on the highway, Channel 56.
I need something new.
This millennium's hits on Y2 Country, Channel 61. Or 80s and 90s prime country on Channel 58. Tap into these and more in the country category on the SXM app, included with all trials and popular plans.
A Canadian that made an indelible mark across the world, Alex Trebek is best known as the host of Jeopardy, a show he hosted over 6,300 times since his debut in 1984. Alex won 5 Emmy Awards over that stretch and is still perhaps the most popular game show host of all time. His work with charities such as World Vision was tireless, and his foundation continues to benefit children across the globe. Alex Trebek, 2006 inductee on Canada's Walk of Fame.
Taking you all the way to the track and back. It's Racetime Radio.
Start talking.
They're talking about me. Welcome back, everybody, to Racetime Radio. So glad you could tune in tonight. The Chili Bowl was on the weekend. Yes, it was. You know that. If you're a short track fan, you would have caught it on Flow Racing down in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And, of course, indoor show. And it's this year was the 37th annual Chili Bowl Nationals. And, man, what a turnout. We did have some Canadians go down there. I want to say Dylan Westbrook was in there. Dylan qualified fairly decent. I want to say he went D or E, maybe even taller than that. In the qualifying order, he advanced the most. The idea is you win your heat, you go to your feature at that time, and it could be the H feature. And the top guys move on. They go to the next round. You run your heats, you run your features, same thing, all the way through to make it into the A main. The top guys qualified in on time, and then they take so many out of the heats, I believe, or not out of the heats, but out of the features. Glenn can clarify all of it. I know there was a pile of racing, and it lasted all week long, and man, what a show. I didn't tune in every night. The night Joe Jr. hurt his foot, I buzzed him up to the hospital, took him up there, had to get him home, got him some dinner, got him all situated, and by the time I got home, things had pretty well progressed all the way through. But that was the night, however, when Ashton came out of his car, and when he came out of his car, head first into the dirt, the belts came off, and he came out of the car. And, of course, those cars don't have wings. So, he was pretty well exposed all the way through and came out head first into the dirt. It was one scary situation. But thankfully, last night, he was back at the track. And he was walking and talking just fine. So thank God all those prayers were answered by absolutely everybody. And we, I believe, have got Glenn Styres coming up. We can't see him real well. There's not a lot of light where he is, but I know we can hear. Oh, there we go. I can see a bit now. There. How you doing, Glenn?
Good. I'm just traveling down the road, just getting back from the Chili Bowl.
Yeah.
Just about ready to pull into my laneway.
Oh, are you? Are you? Okay. Well, don't be wrecking. Don't be wrecking going in the laneway.
We're fine. We almost got hit by a train. So
Oh,
that.
yeah. Well, I'm glad you didn't do that. Quite an eventful week for you, Glenn. I know it didn't go the way you wanted to, but it had moments where things were looking really good for the Zero car.
Yeah, we were in our heat race. We were probably going to finish second or third, but a car ended up hitting the wall and collecting me. And those cars, they don't turn really good once you're committed going through a corner. So yeah, I couldn't avoid it. And the L feature, we ended up doing really good. And I think we were at 11th or something at one point, and then within a few laps, I was running fourth, but I was, passing a few cars at a time, and I got collected by the retaining wall and ended up flipping down the back straight. So other than that, I had potential.
Oh, you had potential, all right, and I did see that wreck. My heart was in my mouth going, what? But that is kind of commonplace. At the Chili Bowl, I don't know what the flip count was at, but I think the last time I seen it was like 28 or something like that. There was a lot of flips, and it's commonplace in open wheel racing, even at Oswego. It is kind of commonplace.
Yeah, it is. And it looks kind of violent when you crash, but being inside the car, it's really not as bad as it looks.
Yeah. Well, as long as you don't hit nothing and stop, what I find is the car that goes in and makes impact with something and stops dead, that's usually when the driver does get hurt. The tumble and roll, it's the driver's going for one wicked ride that he'll never forget. How many times have you flipped, Glenn, in your career? How many times do you think you've gone over?
It averages about 5 a year, so I've been racing about 20-something years, so probably 100 times, I guess.
Oh, man, you never get used to it, right? You always probably cringe going, oh, hopefully tonight's not the night, but I got to go and I got to win.
Yeah, you know what? It's one of those situations, if you take it easy or if you're cautious, you're going to get collected. You have to be wide open and, you got to be on the edge. I mean, there's no other way.
Nah, and that's the way you guys live your life, is on the edge. And I know Glenn Styres, that's got you written all over it. You did have some teammates. Dylan Westbrook was down there flying the colors. You had, is it Dale? Is Dale the other one that was down there with you? You had 3 guys from Ontario, right?
Yeah, and one of the guys were a crate driver.
Oh, I see.
People were kind of giving me updates, and one of the guys had just won one of the last races at Oswego here, and Dylan, he did really good. He was in, I'm not sure if he was in the C or the D. I think he might have been in the D, and he come up all the way to make the A, which was, really, really incredible for him to have such an amazing drive, because it's hard to pass on those tracks, and he passed. He had to pass 30 or 40 cars. That was pretty incredible.
Yeah, to make your way to the front. JJ Yaley, I know another really good friend of yours. I can remember the years you and I were down at Daytona. JJ jumping into a Cup car. You guys have remained friends for a long time. And JJ Yaley in one of your cars.
Yeah, JJ. Again, he was running really good. He made it to the A main on his qualifying night. And he missed the big show by, even Kyle Cummins. They were all really close. And, but it's such a tough deal. There's 364 cars there for 24 spots. So kind of give you an idea of how difficult it is.
Oh man, that's off the hook. That's a lot of cars. That's a lot of racing that you got to do. A lot of emphasis. I know how much emphasis you guys put on everything. Just getting prepared to go down and do it takes a year of preparation for a week of competition. Really.
Absolutely, it's really incredible. I mean, even when the cars were all done, they spent a month just preparing everything to get everything going, and to make that trip down there is pretty incredible.
So now you've got that out of your system, Glenn Styres, and I know Speed Weeks is coming. What do you got? Another 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks, and the World Series of Asphalt.
We're going to Volusia the 26th, 27th, 28th, I think. And from
of
that
January.
point on,
of January.
January, yeah. So we're running a 360 there. We come back home a few days and then go back down. And then so I'm going to be running with Kenny Schrader and his UMP modified. And then WMI Motorsports with Whitey. We're going to run 5 Pro Late Model races there. And then I have the East Bay, the King of 360s. So three 360 shows in February.
The King, you won it once, right? You did that a few years ago.
My cars won it 3 times, and I did it myself. I think it was 2014. But yeah, pretty incredible.
I remember it well. Down at East Bay, I knew that was a soft spot in your heart. You love racing that track. It's going to be exciting, I can guarantee you that. Now, will this be your first trip to New Smyrna Speedway in the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing as a fan? But I know this is your first trip going in as a car and a driver, but have you been to New Smyrna before?
Yeah, you know what? I went there long before I was driving, and the World of Outlaws were running, and I went and watched them at Volusia Speedway. And then from there, I ended up going over one night just to check it out. And I never ever dreamt of going back there and running 5 races, but I want to get prepared for the Pinty's race because the Pinty's is a lot more difficult than I ever imagined. And I got to redeem myself because we didn't do very well last year. And I'm hoping to, at least place in the top 10 or top 5. That's my goal anyways.
Now, I can see you doing it. The rookie stripes come off this year.
Yes.
It looks like, Glenn, you went through a lot of stuff there. Now, man, you're bouncing back. You are looking back to the way Glenn Styres used to approach a race and do things. So forget last year. That was a learned year. Watch out this year. And I tell you what, New Smyrna Speedway, when I think back to the early days, the very first time I went to New Smyrna, I want to say it was 1995. Yeah, it was 1995. I'm down there. I had just bought Sobel Speedway, and I went down with a buddy of mine. Actually, it was Jerry Downey that owned Quick Lube here in Owen Sound. He said, "Hey, have you ever been to Daytona and done Speed Weeks?" I said, "Nope." He goes, "You own a racetrack. You got to come." So the two of us went down. We went to New Smyrna Speedway. I watched these open-wheel Formula cars, the Jackaroo barbecue sauce open-wheel cars, go for the first time, I believe, on New Smyrna. That, Glenn, was craziness. I thought, nothing's going to get nuttier than that. I go to the big track, and I watch the Clash, and I watch, guys like Kenny Schrader out there, and I seen him go by at 200 miles an hour. I thought, oh, man, nothing can get nuttier than that. Look at this. This is crazy. And then Jerry says, we're going to go out to Volusia County Speedway. Now, that's back when Volusia County was the half-mile asphalt track. And the dirt track was the little track off to the side. We went out there, and sure enough, what was there? The Super Modifieds. And they were flying around the track. And I'll tell you what, the most impressive thing I ever seen was watching those Super Modifieds on the old configuration of Volusia County Speedway and watching those guys with the vapor trail coming off, look like your sprint car, only on asphalt. These guys are warping it around the racetrack. I couldn't believe my eyes, man. I'll tell you what, I went to Speed Weeks for 20 years thereafter, never missed a show. And that now Volusia County has done the old swapperoo. Now they've got the half-mile dirt and the little truck. I don't even know if the little truck's still in operation for asphalt. But Volusia County on the half-mile, man, that's a real deal. You guys would cook around there.
Yeah, we're so I started building my own sprint car chassis, and we're going to debut the new car then, and I'm hoping for some spectacular results. We got new engines, all just really, really incredible stuff happening with the GSR chassis side of things.
Yeah, I'm going to say, how is GSR? How are things being activated? Is it all coming along? Is it doing what you wanted it to do?
Yeah, we're coming along really good. I just ordered all of the CNC machinery equipment to start building my own motors, and our whole plan is to hopefully rebuild the NASCAR motor, so that just to save that cross-border interaction. And I'm hoping I can get it done, and we're hoping like for maybe September to be, the doors open. So building's done. We're just waiting for the machinery.
Man, you never take your foot off the gas, my friend. You just keep it on going. Oh, one other quick story I want to share with you. That same year at Volusia County Speedway, the super late models were running, right, on the half-mile asphalt. And Jerry Downey and I, there was a few Canadians in the pit area. We had some in the garage area at Volusia. We had some at New Smyrna Speedway. But I look across the pit area, and I see the number 62. That's Lloyd Ritchie. You know the Ritchie guys. Do you remember Chester, right? So Lloyd was driving. Chester was there helping his kid. And they had popped a motor earlier in the day. And I'm looking across the pits, and I hear the story how they blew a motor, so they're not going to be in competition tonight. I went, damn, the Orange Blossom Special isn't going to be out there. I was really hoping for it. I know them really well. Anyway, I couldn't believe my eyes. Look over. You remember Chester, right? The guy, he was a bear. And I'm looking over the pits, and I see him lift the front of the 62 Super Late Model. Glenn, it came off the ground a good foot. Not off the ground, sorry, on jack stands, but up off the jack stands about a foot. And I said, Jerry, look. I said, I can't believe my eyes. There's got to be a lift somewhere underneath that thing. After the races were over, Jerry and I went into the pits, and sure enough, now there was no motor in the car. Chester needed to adjust it, so he lifted the front end of the car, which is no easy feat, I might add. And that was my first trip there, and I couldn't believe my eyes. But poor Chester's not with us anymore, but there's one for you, Chester. Thinking of you, buddy.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild asphalt stock car racing. You're ready for this? When do you roll into Volusia, or pardon me, not into Volusia, you told us that, January 26th weekend. When do you roll into New Smyrna? Do you know the 5 nights you're going to run?
There's a 10-day show. I don't have my calendar in front of me, but I have a schedule all planned out. So we're going to run 5 days with the Pro Late model, 5 days with UMP modified, and then we're doing 6 days with the 360 sprint. So I got like 16 races planned down there.
Incredible. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know last year, all the action, all 9 nights from New Smyrna Speedway were all covered on Flow Racing. They did a great job. Looking forward to that again this year. Hopefully that's the case. Because Glenn Styres, I can tell you there's going to be a pile of Canadians pulling for you. Rookie stripes are off, my friend. It's time to go to Victory Lane. What do you say?
Awesome. I can't wait. I'm really excited. And again, I hope so when I went to the Snowball Derby at the end of the week, our last run there Sunday, we started passing cars, started moving forward, and start running with the big dogs, which was really, really good. A good feeling and showing some potential. Really built our confidence, and so we're going to go in here confident. That's all I can ask for.
You can do it. I know you can, and you know you can. We're just going to have to show everybody else that Glenn can not only get it done on dirt, but he can get it done on asphalt. It's going to be wicked, and I know we look forward to seeing you in the Pinty Series back here in Canada, but that's all for another show and shows to come. For right now, you get ready, and good luck down at Volusia County. And I know I'm going to be bugging your ass to get you back on Race Time Radio. Lots for updates, bud.
Oh, yes, anytime. And I just got done. I'm home from traveling from the Chili Bowl. It was a long day traveling, and I'm ready for bed.
I wouldn't doubt it. No pulling the dirt car out and heading out onto the Big O.
I just might.
I wouldn't doubt it. Glenn, thanks so much for the time tonight on Race Time. We genuinely appreciate it, buddy. The world's best to you, bud.
All right, thank you. Thanks for calling.
You bet. That is Glenn Styres. Did a great job at the Chili Bowl on the weekend and getting ready to go. Back down to Florida in a couple of days. He's going to go to Volusia County, then off to New Smyrna Speedway, and so on and so forth. I'll tell you what, this guy gets it done. Don't forget to check out GSR, Glenn Styres Racing. They got a lot of great racing products. You want to check them out. If you're into racing, Glenn Styres Racing, you want to check it out. Guaranteed. We are going to hit a quick break here on Race Time Radio, and we will be back in just a couple of minutes. And I know Tony Stevens is going to be with us on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
From coast to coast, you're listening to Canada Talks.
It's time to get back to the racetracks. For over 30 years, Quick Fire Starters have fueled the sport on and off the track, making lighting your campfire as easy as 1, 2, 3. There's no need for kindling or paper. Just pop your Quick Fire Starter in the pit, add your wood, and presto, you're a pro. Quick Fire Starters. No harmful chemicals, and guaranteed to light your fire every time. Quick Fire Starters, the world's best fire starter.
Rev TV, your motorsports and automotive destination. Watch live races from around the world and right here at home, from 2 wheels to 4 and so much more. Rev TV is your source for motorsports. Rev TV features exclusive race series, up-to-date news coverage, documentaries, how-to programs, and adrenaline-filled lifestyle programs 24/7. Go green with Rev TV. Contact your TV provider to order.
Tonight's Race Time Radio is fueled by AP Race Fuels, the worldwide leader in race fuel technology.
If you're a Springsteen fan, you just found the promised land. Hear rare interviews and performances. Live concerts.
Is there anybody alive out there?
Celebrity guest DJs.
This is Rob Lowe.
Hey, babies, little Steven here. And more exclusives when listening to Bruce Springsteen's channel.
Welcome, Bruce Springsteen, to E3 Radio, your home away from home. Great to be here.
E3 Radio, SiriusXM Channel 20.
Explore the musical world of an American rock and roll troubadour on his very own channel.
Tom Petty Radio.
All of Tom's music, influences, collaborations.
This is Tom Petty here on the Buried Treasure Show.
Heartbreakers hosted shows.
Check out my show, The Breakdown with Mike Campbell.
And more.
It's Tom Petty Radio.
Channel 31.
It's all right.
And in the SXM app, included with all trials and popular plans.
Did you know you can get home and away feeds for every NFL, NBA, and NHL game on your phone?
I can't believe it!
Every game, all season. It's all on the SXM app. Sports the way they're meant to be heard, with your hometown announcers just a tap away. Search for your team, then tap the star on the corner of the screen and save it as your favorite.
It is gone! An incredible finish!
And if you love college sports, when the game is on, just search for your school. It's always a home game when you listen to sports on the SXM app. Free for most subscribers.
We're just getting started. That's right. Joe hasn't stuck his foot in his mouth yet. But hang tight, it's coming. Now, back to more Race Time Radio and Joe Chisholm.
Oh, the beauty of live radio. I forgot to turn my mic off, so I bet everybody knows what I gotta do. But welcome back, everybody, to Race Time Radio. So glad you could tune in tonight, all live on SiriusXM Channel 167 Canada Talks. and live on our YouTube channel, RaceTimeRadioTV, and live on RaceTimeRadio.com. Got to welcome in our next guest. You know the name. The name? Tony Stevens, and he is PitRowTV, and he joins us now. What's going on tonight, Tony? How you doing? It's been a while, bud.
Doing pretty good, Joe. I'm sorry. I guess my phone decided to pick now to go wonky, so all of a sudden I went to be able to hear something to now I can barely hear you. But I'm also at a Top Golf here in Charlotte, so that might have something to do with it. But we're having a company outing tonight, just kind of a year-end appreciation thing. Bring everybody out, have a good time, and before you know it, it's going to be race season, so this is kind of the time we do those things.
Yeah, I seen a release, I want to say Thursday, something like that. Thursday there was a release done, and I believe it had something to do with karting. You're having a hard time hearing me. I can see that you're having a hard time hearing me. I got my mic on. I know it's turned on, so maybe you're having a hard time. Do you want to reconnect again?
Let's try that, yeah, and see if my speakers decide they want to cooperate.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, let's try that.
Okay, so you're gonna dial me back, okay? So that's what we'll do. I'll turn you down, and Tony Stevens is gonna join us here in just a second. I'm just gonna hit. There you go. Okay, so Tony is gonna dial this right back, and then we're gonna have him back in. Hopefully, his speakers decide that they want to kick in and cooperate. PitRowTV, you can always catch. Tony has got a ton of races, like from all over the U.S. You name it, he's got it. And Tony is back with us. Tony, your speaker's working now?
It's working, but it's hard for me to hear you. So I think that's my phone being wonky.
Yeah,
half the time I'm on my laptop for these things, so it very well could be. It's hard to say, you know what I mean?
I gotcha. I need you to turn your camera because you're going to make everybody go sideways. There you go.
Because of that, it's probably my phone. That would not surprise me at all.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either.
There we go. I figured it out now. Okay.
Did you? You gave it
new button. That works.
Give it a tap and away it goes. Tony, it is January, and it is the time that the building process starts. I know you haven't got everything laid out for PitRowTV so far, but how are things coming for 2023?
Pretty good. I mean, we've got a lot of folks that are interested in having us do their events, obviously, and that's a good problem to have, right? Try to figure out how to get our staff sorted out and where we got to go and we've got to be there and things like that. So those are definitely good problems to have, and obviously I'm sure everybody up there heard the news. We've been working with the Cars Tour forever. Everybody's heard the new ownership news there. So we've got new people in place that we've got to learn how to work with and how they want to do things, and there's certainly a lot of that as well. So a lot of moving parts, but everybody, they've done a fantastic job. And like you said earlier, I mean, we were still busy 3 weeks ago in Daytona doing karting events, and even this last night we had a crew over doing one of the bigger events in South Carolina at this time of year. So it's been busy, and we stay busy pretty much all year long. It's just a matter of how busy we are, and this is one of those lull times that we try to take advantage to plan at least a little bit.
So PitRowTV, you got PitRowTV, Cars TV, Cars Tour TV, and the U.S. Legends. I know they've leaned on you for a long time, and you have gone down to Citrus County Speedway, and everything that we see with the U.S. Legends in that Speedway part of it has all been you and your production. Is that back together? Are we going to be able to see you and Tim Terry and the whole crew?
That's the entire plan. I booked the lodging not that long ago, trying to get all of our staffing stuff sorted out. We like making the trip down there. It's a long trip for us, not probably as long as it is for you, obviously, but you get rolling that first part of the year. You're like, man, I've been really happy sleeping in my own bed, not having to bust my tail as hard. And about that Friday, you're like, I got to leave about 8 a.m. and drive 10 hours towing a trailer full of stuff, and you get rolling, but once you're at the racetrack, it's like it never stops. You just go right into automatic mode. And we like going down there. It's great racing. They're expecting a great entry list again this year for the U.S. Legend Cars Winter Nationals. It's going to be fantastic. Kyle McGowan's going to be kind of in charge of the event this year. So he's been race directing their national events. So that's going to be a good thing to see, and he'll have all of his team that he's had in the past. And usually your Canadians do pretty well down there. And I think last year was it Danny Chisholm was in the running for the week-long championship?
Yeah, Danny did good.
It's going to be fun to see how it plays out this year. It's always fun. I love going to Citrus County. Great part of Florida, great racetrack. And the racing's always good, which certainly makes it that much better when you make that trip.
And it's so cool, right? With the U.S. Legend cars and the Bandoleros, they are equal. The difference is behind the wheel, right? And that's cool.
Yep.
When you can see parity like that, a lot of you, nose-to-tail racing, nose-to-tail. No, it's not, because not everybody's got the same talent level. And when you get them out there dicing it up, yeah, there's a lot of hits and spins because you're not used to running against this guy. I'm from Nova Scotia. Well, this guy here's from BC, or maybe he's from, Maine. It doesn't matter. They come from all over the place to get involved with it. And it's just kind of cool when you see the parity from the kids right up into the adults. It's cool racing. And they can watch it all on U.S. Legend TV.
Absolutely, and that's what we like about it. The racing is always good, especially at the national events, because you have the best teams and drivers from everywhere around the country coming together, and it really is kind of a super field, if you will. So it's really, really cool to see, and like you said, the parts are all spec'd out. It's all about what the team and the driver can do and how they can use their skills and their engineering prowess to get the car to go, do something different, and the driver to do the same thing. But they're all working with the same pieces of the puzzle. It's just who can put it together the best, and that brings out some fantastic racing for sure.
So with Cars Tour TV, is it safe to say, Tony, you're still going to be involved? Is it still your guys, or is that still to be determined as the pie goes together?
Well, we just announced the new ownership last week, so we're still figuring out who's to be signing whose checks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of those things, but it's our intention to come back and certainly be at all the events. We are excited about the season, have been since the end of last year, before any of this even came about. So that's always, again, speaking of great racing, the Cars Tour is certainly where it's at, and that's one of the reasons that those four folks partnered together, because they're all subscribers, right? They've all seen what is on track. They've seen the broadcast. And that's one of the reasons they fell in love with it. Obviously, Dale Jr. being a car owner helps as well. But
right.
A lot of the others, they watch, so they know what the product is they're getting. And so I mean, as far as we're concerned, we're certainly excited about 2023.
One thing I can tell you from now being on this side of a camera, it appears easier than it actually is. And no one, Tony, knows the history of the Cars Tour like you do. You guys have grown this property. You've worked together, of course, the tours there. But the visual element of this, you guys have been carrying the ball, man. So I cannot see a day where, four brilliant people like that step in with another batch of brilliant people and then say, oh, by the way, Tony Stevens, you and your crew, there's the door. We're going to roll in somebody that absolutely knows nothing about it, maybe really good TV guys, but they're not going to know squat about the tour. And I think that is something that needs to, you got to know. If you don't know, it's going to come through on that TV.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate the kind words and the compliments. And yeah, we've put together a fantastic crew over the years that they've been able to do a remarkable job of bringing those stories to everybody and telling those stories and showing the action and getting everybody involved with that. We're certainly proud of what we've been able to accomplish. And, we continue to hear that type of feedback, and it's mind-blowing to me because, it started something very small, and, we all kind of grew it all together between the tour and us and everything else. So something we've certainly been proud of is what we've been able to accomplish there and how we've been able to grow it. And certainly how we've seen that passion of fans start to come back over the years and how they've really fallen in love with the tour. And that's something really, really cool, and we really, really like that because, that's what it's all about, to get new fans, get them engaged, and keep them engaged so they become a long-term fan.
It's a big package. Tony, can I get you to hang out? I got to throw it back to Toronto for a 90-second news update, and then we're back for hour 2. Can you hang out? I still got a few questions to ask you. Perfect.
Absolutely.
Tony Stevens going to stay with us. You're going to get up to date on SiriusXM, and then we're coming back for hour 2. Don't miss it. Stay right there.
You're listening to Canada Talks on SiriusXM Channel 167.
Racetime Radio is brought to you by the Quality Inn, Halifax Airport, the official stay of the Racetime Radio broadcast crew. Also by APX Racewear, the motorsports leader in custom crew apparel and fire suits. Also by the Wooden Door Bistro.
When you think NASCAR, think SiriusXM NASCAR Radio.
This may be the most important thing that's ever happened.
You're damn right, baby.
Races.
The Daytona 500 win.
I love that we have playoff racing now.
The talk shows.
We'd love for you guys to participate as well.
The unprecedented access.
Well, I'm here at the red carpet with the fans.
SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90.
Chastain did a video game move.
Also streaming the SXM app.
I think they're happy down here.
We're back with hour number 2 of Race Time Radio. With the two Joes here on Race Time Radio on SiriusXM 167, where Canada talks.
And just like that, hour 2 begins tonight. Only one Joe tonight. The other one's got a bad foot. He's on the other side of town, but that's another story. We will get him back in the studio at some point on the hotline. And if you joined us on our YouTube page, you'd be able to see Tony Stevens, PitRowTV, is with us in the studio somewhat. He is in Charlotte. And how'd the go-karting go today? Did you get out? Did you get in a cart and do any racing?
Not this weekend in Paradise. No, I actually, of all things, my Penguins were in Raleigh, so I went to go watch the Penguin game last night in Raleigh, and unfortunately, they lost 2-1. Speaking of which, a shout out to Tim Terry. His Canucks are in Raleigh right now.
Oh yeah.
And last I saw, they too were getting beaten, so his trash talk might not go very far. But now today we've been hitting golf balls today with the crew. Something a little different. We thought about the go-karting thing. And it's like, you know what, let's do something a little different because we're always around race cars.
Right.
So we've been having some fun hitting some golf balls and cracking up and laughing at each other and just kicking back and relaxing, having a few drinks or some snacks or whatever, and it's been a good time.
And that's the whole idea of what's called the off-season. Tony, you haven't got a very big off-season. We're only talking like a matter of a few weeks. But when you're down in Florida, do you get an opportunity? I know you guys are running full tilt. Do you get an opportunity to slide over to the big track, get over to Daytona, and see Daniel Norwood and the guys and experience Daytona a wee bit?
We try to, and given a year, like a couple years ago, we stayed a few days, went to the 500, did the whole thing. One thing that we try to do, and it's one time I remember I was talking to Michael Fatback McSwain, and he was talking about how folks tell him, back when he was big-time crew chief, man, it must be great. You go around the entire country and see everything and blah, blah, blah. And he said something to the effect of, I get to travel the country, but I don't get to see any of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of stuck with me, and I thought, that's important. We're fortunate enough to get to go to all these cool places, be it Daytona, be it Las Vegas for like Asphalt Nationals for legend cars, or anywhere else in between. And we may not always get those opportunities again. So I think it's important, and we even plan for it. We'll make some concessions in our travel and things like that. Where quite often, like when we went to Vegas back in November, I gave my guys an extra day or two in Vegas just to enjoy Vegas because, again, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? We may never have that opportunity again. So yeah, we try. We might not do it every time and every year, but we certainly try to at least take a little bit of time on some of these trips that are, to destination type places and enjoy it just a little bit, even if it's for half a day or whatever, to kind of get a little bit of that fun factor and keep it fresh so it doesn't become just a job. Because once you lose that spark, you lose some of those little intangibles that make these things so special.
Yeah, and it's nice to be able to talk about the area that you're in, right? Like, I can relate to that. We had been doing Nova Scotia. We did all the races, all the Pro Stock Tour races in Nova Scotia for like 10 years. And out of the 10 years, I can honestly say I have never been to the harbor front in downtown Halifax. I've never done it in 10 years. I've been at the airport. We go to Andy Ganesh, and I had been doing the IWK for, 3 or 4 years in a row. And my wife, Sue, would come along in those days, and we had never gone anywhere but right from the Halifax airport, drive up to Andy Ganesh, to the hotel, stay at the hotel, go to the track, go back and forth, back to the airport, back here. And never seen the water, never seen anything, never even really seen Andy Ganesh. And the town is this big, Tony. It's only a dot. Anyway, we're at the racetrack the one day, and I want to say that was the year Joey Logano was in as the NASCAR driver. And I was talking to Paul McLean, the track manager at the time, and Paul says, "What are you doing here at the racetrack on Thursday?" And I said, "Well, we come in to set the gear up. It's practice day. Don't want to miss practice." And he goes, "Tomorrow, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, we race tomorrow night, right? Friday night, the sportsmen are in." "Yeah, but that's not the Pro Stock Tour. That's Saturday." I said, "I know, but I don't want to miss the sportsmen." He said, "You got to take your bride and show her Nova Scotia." I said, "Well, it's a little, like we're a little tied up." And he goes, No, do the Little Cabot Trail. I'll tell you where to go, and you do this trip with your wife. You will thank God you did." And Sue goes, "That's my kind of guy right there. Let's go on a little tour." So we did. We had time, and we took the Little Cabot Trail. You go into Tim Hortons, you turn left. You stay on that road, and you're on that road, Tony, for 4 hours. When you come off that road, and it takes you all along the edge of the Bay of Fundy, and it is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. And there's little stops along the way, and you can read about. So we did it. We stopped, and we got right into it after we seen the water, and I went, "Oh, man, I didn't know everything was right here." And when you come off that road, I'm driving, and I said, "Sue, we're lost. We've been on the road for like 4 hours. We are lost." And no sooner did I get it out of my mouth, and all of a sudden I looked and I went, what's that? It's the 104 highway that we come up to Andy Ganesh on. I'm going over the overpass, and what is on my right but the Speedway? Right there. Paul was right. He said, "You turn left there and stay right on it," and it brings you right back to the track. I hear what you're saying. Long story short, it's a good idea to, take in the sights. Try and do it if you can. I know sometimes it's pretty tough because you arrive, do your job, you're going to warp 100, and then you got to fly out because you got to go do it again. And sometimes not possible. It's cool when you can.
Absolutely it is. We were fortunate or unfortunate, depending on how you look at it, I guess. We've been doing stuff at Dells Raceway Park the last couple of seasons as well on PitRowTV, and look forward to a great series and a great season there again in 23. But last year, we made our plans. Our normal crew had an ARCA Midwest Tour race to do, which was on our same Speed Sport platform. So we had to divide and conquer, if you will. Right. So I took the wife up, and I said, "Hey, let's go have some time." And, we're looking at the forecast, and poor Jerry Albee, he lost like 8 out of 9 weeks to rain during that stretch of the year. I felt so bad for him. And that, unfortunately, was one of them. Well, we had our plane tickets. We had everything else, and understandably, he was reluctant to pull the plug because of what he'd been through. So we get there, and we're there, and I told the wife, this is probably going to rain out, so let's, make our plans. And so we go to the racetrack, and Jerry's like, "Yep, I got to make the call. It's not looking good. Severe weather, blah, blah, blah." And it did. It was a good decision to wash it out. But, we went up there. We knew we were going to have 2 days, and that's a gorgeous area. If anybody ever gets a chance to take a super late model or a pro stock or anything to Wisconsin, to the Dells, absolutely recommend it. The track's fantastic. The people that run it are awesome. And the area just to go to and hang out is wonderful. They call it the water park capital of the world, but there's other entertainment, there's restaurants, there's plenty of cool stuff to do and see, and we really had a good time. And I was, as much as I wanted to be at the racetrack, I was also glad at that point that it did rain out, that she and I could have a little time together.
That's perfect. That's what it's all about. And that's called enjoying a little bit of the job that you do. And you guys do a phenomenal job. If you've never tuned into PitRowTV to this year, you got to do it. So coverage would start, or do you got anything between here and Speed Week for the Legend cars? You got anything up?
Yeah, we're going to have actually winter heat from the Charlotte Motor Speedway on U.S. Legend Cars TV. Okay. So it'll be on that side. We just had some karting that's a fresh replay, if you will, from the last 48 hours, 2 different days of events. So that's on there for subscribers, as is Daytona Kart Week and a lot of the other events, the Rumble in Fort Wayne. You can catch that replay with Tony Stewart and a number of others who were in those events. Yeah, that guy, I never heard of him before, but they said he was pretty good. But we've got a lot of stuff, and there's some other events that we actually just had conversations yesterday about getting them on the schedule that will probably be pretty doggone cool. Again, we've got a lot of things that are happening, that things will be picking up here very soon. But, yeah, that subscription will get you access to everything, be it live or on demand. And there's a huge on-demand library. So if you're looking for some cool stuff, that's certainly something to dial in. And the other thing, too, that we're attached to and kind of involved in, you may have seen the announcement in, I guess it would have been November, and then it went to December. Speed Sport 1, which is tied in with the platform we're on with Speed Sport TV.
Yep.
A fast channel coming to various devices this year. It's going to be here in 3 or 4 months, I think, is the plan. And that's going to begin to grow and expand. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff on there as well that they've got, and we're going to have some hands behind the scenes in that as well. So a lot of cool stuff that we're very fortunate to be part of.
A lot of irons in the fire, so to speak, and that's the cool part. Tony, you guys do a fantastic job. PitRowTV, is there a .com for fans to go in and log in and jump into the whole thing, or just go PitRowTV?
PitRow.tv. That's the easiest way to get there. If you're like some folks and the .com is still in your head, though, we do also own PitRowTV.com. Goes to the same place, but we always direct folks to PitRow, PITROW.TV, and it'll get you there, and you can catch everything that we've got sitting there and everything we got cooking at that particular point in time.
It'll blow your mind from you name it to Pennsylvania and beyond. I'll tell you, these guys do a dynamite job. Tony, thanks so much for the time tonight. Genuinely love catching up with you this way. We've never done it via Zoom, but this has been a gas, and I know we'll do more of it as we get into the season. Good luck at Speed Weeks. I'll be shaking Timmy's tree and probably yours by the time we get to it.
Well, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure to be on. It always is anytime we get to join you. And, yeah, folks, check us out. Like I said, at PitRow.tv. We're also on social media. I got to get them all straight. There's 100 of them now, right? There's Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. Just search at PitRowTV, and you can probably find us on all of those to see all the cool stuff we've got going on. So, especially our TikTok. Garrett's been doing a heck of a job with our TikTok. When he shows up to our events, we kind of borrow him from IMCA periodically. He does fantastic work. But yeah, all those, follow us on social media, and we look forward to seeing folks somewhere around the continent here in the next year.
You're the man, and don't rub it into Tim Terry too hard with the Canadian team losing. Hey, look, they all come through Toronto at some point.
They won in a shootout 4-3.
Oh yeah.
So now I'm even more disappointed because the Penguins they were flightless last night as birds, ultimately.
Yeah. Well, that's Sid the Kid for you.
He played good. Everybody else, unfortunately, did not.
You got to love it. Tony, thanks so much for the time, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Joe.
You bet. Tony Stevens, PitRowTV, you got to check these guys out. They do a phenomenal job. You can go there now. Even though they haven't got a live race right now, you can go back and view races that they've done, and he's got a whole library, whole catalog of them there. Excellent entertainment, and you definitely want to do that. I am going to step out, take a quick break. When I come back, we're going to talk Motorama. I am 13 minutes behind. I was supposed to have Greg on here 13 minutes ago, but that's me. I start losing my mind. I yak too much. And we're going to have Greg MacPherson on this very program in just a couple of moments. So you're going to stay there, and we will be back with you all live tonight on SiriusXM Channel 167, Canada Talks.
Canada Talks on SiriusXM Channel 167. Did you know you can get home and away feeds for every NFL, NBA, and NHL game on your phone?
I can't believe it!
Every game, all season. It's all on the SXM app. Sports the way they're meant to be heard, with your hometown announcers just a tap away. Search for your team, then tap the star on the corner of the screen and save it as your favorite.
It is gone! An incredible finish!
And if you love college sports, when the game is on, just search for your school. It's always a home game when you listen to sports on the SXM app. Free for most subscribers.
What is SiriusXM NASCAR Radio?
Tyler Reddy will go to victory lane at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
You just won at Indy.
Down here in Victory Lane, let me ask the fans.
It's on.
Joe Logano will set his sights on a championship.
Things.
He shot him up the right track.
Back up on the throttle as he heads to victory.
NASCAR.
Oh, he loses it. He crashes.
SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90. Also streaming on the SXM app.
Oh, hell yeah.
Even though Napa is a nationally known name, nearly all of our stores are built from the ground up by local owners and families. People you might call neighbors will be here, there, and everywhere. Doing what neighbors do to keep their communities moving forward. Stop by a Napa Auto Parts store. You can count on Napa know-how.
Tonight's Racetime Radio is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts Stores, New Glasgow, Antigonish, and Port Hawkesbury, Nova Scotia. You can count on Napa know-how.
AP Race Fuels, the worldwide leader in race fuel technology.
From the streets of Hoboken to the Vegas Strip, Frank Sinatra's music all in one place.
You make me feel so young.
Perfectly Frank, playing nothing but Sinatra.
I got the world on a string.
Perfectly Frank. Listen anytime and anywhere on the SXM app. Included with all trials and popular plans.
From the high banks of Daytona. Cover it all. That's going to be the mark. And now, back to the Joes.
Hey, shake it back, Cal. Woo! Shake it back.
Here on RaceTime Radio.
And welcome back, everybody, to RaceTime Radio. So glad you could tune in tonight, all live on SiriusXM Channel 167 Canada Talks, on our YouTube channel as well, at RaceTimeRadioTV, and on our website, the old way, RaceTimeRadio.com, and hit listen to the live audio stream. But let's go back to the hotline, the guest zoom in, and we're going to talk Motorama. It comes up in Toronto at the International Center. It's a show we all absolutely love as motorsports fans, as old car guys, as custom car guys, tuners. This one has everybody covered, and it's all happening at the International Center, March 10th, 11th, and 12th. And the brains behind the whole thing is Greg MacPherson from Inside Track Motorsport News. We got him with us. Greg, how you doing, buddy? I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah, fantastic show. Thanks so much for having me on. And we've got lots of brains behind the operation here, so it's a great team, and we're all excited that we're able to be doing the show again.
Well, you are the lead brain power, let's put it that way. Yeah, you guys do a fantastic job. Buddy, finally, that pandemic is gone. It's in the rearview mirror. I know you could still get COVID, but if you get your shots, you don't have to worry about too much. The show is going to be busted wide open, and we got a big one coming at us this year.
Yeah, we were happy and lucky that we were able to put one on in April, but it was kind of 70%, and we were really close to the start of racing season. Like, in fact, the Saturday night was opening night at Flamborough, and so we're just so happy, like, going back to the traditional date right before the start of March break, where the show's been for almost all of its 50 years in different incarnations, and it really is feeling good, like whether it's like 2019 or the lead up pre-COVID in 2020, where it was just amazing and everyone wants to come and it's a great way to start off the season. It's feeling like that again.
Well, I missed it last year. I wanted to be at the show, but we did the Western Rattler 300 all live out in BC, Penticton. We're going to be back out in BC this year, I hope. I'm going to find out. Our next guest is going to come up, Trevor. But the good part is the date is moved a week, and the show is back into March. So we're all set. I know Dave Franks called me the other night. You know Dave, excited Dave. Talked to him for 2 minutes. An hour later, Dave and I wrapped her all up. But he's doing good, and I know I look forward to catching up with Dave at the show.
And that's the other neat part about the show, too. Like, it's been a long time since banquets or the end of season. Like, we saw everyone at, like, say, Autumn Colors and Flamborough and stuff. But, yeah, it's so social, too. Like, everyone's friends. It's a great place to hang out. You know you're going to see everybody there. So that's another neat part of it.
Oh, so many memories, you know. I go back, and I think way, way back, even before I bought the Speedway. But from the Speedway forward, some of the different funny moments that took place at that show, and it used to be called Performance World, it's Motorama. It's had different names, but it is the same show at the International Center. When I think back, you know, I had two partners in All-Star. When it very first started, Steve Slaughter and Kim Wallace. Kim at the time owned Peterborough and Cayuga. Steve owned Sunset Speedway, and I had Sauble. Well, I'll tell you what, never in the world would you link up with those two guys, especially in Toronto at that show. My wife and I are doing our booth, trying to be a professional job, and here comes these girls down there. They look like a pair of strippers coming down. It was Kim and Steve thought it'd be a good idea to send these girls down to give me a birthday, a happy birthday.
Yeah,
so,
lots of shenanigans. I remember old pictures from that, too, with Tony Novotny and Rick Hammond. And, lots of laughs and good times, but great way to start off the season as well.
And one thing that sticks in my mind, and Rob Morton, bless his soul, he's not with us anymore. A good friend of yours, of course, Inside Track Motorsport News. But Rob Morton was a good friend of ours, too. And we would be set up side by side a lot of years. And Rob and his wife would be there taking care of the Inside Track booth, and Susie and I'd be over there. And Rob would look over, and I'd be handing schedules out, or Sue'd be handing posters out. And I'd look over at Morton, and they're sitting there, and they're doing their thing and handing stickers and magazines out. And then it would die down a little bit. I'd look over at Rob, and he took from the leaf display next door, he grabbed one of those neck collars that used to do up. The racers used to wear a donut around their neck. Today, now they've got Hans device, Hutchins device, a lot better protection for the head. Back in those days, all they had was this donut-looking thing. Marty grabbed it off the dummy that was beside him in the leaf display, and he put it on his head. Well, hilarious. I busted a gut. I believe we got a photo of it somewhere. Where Morty's got that thing stuck on his head. But we had a lot of fun with all you guys. Man, we had a lot of good times.
Yeah, no, we miss him like heck, but it's kind of getting to the point, it's been about a year and a half now, that you smile more than you want to cry when you think of him. So he was a character and a nice man and a great partner. So, and he and Fran, you know, we all did do everything. So, you know, he and Fran were the great ones at the track and knew everybody, and they're the face of it sort of in the field for so many people. So, yeah, Rob and Fran are awesome.
And that's what the Motorama show does. It pulls the industry together. I don't care if you're friend or foe, it pulls the industry together. You will see everybody that's in this industry. Now, I shouldn't say everybody because, of course, we've got a big country here. You got Eastern Canada, you got Western Canada, but I can tell you, at times, we had exhibitors from Alberta. Remember the guys doing the little cards? They were there from Alberta. We've had companies there from Targa, Newfoundland was set up. I remember interviewing the guy, Robert Ganu, from Targa, Newfoundland. So, like, it does come together from across the country. And one day, Greg, we're all going to get our wish, and everybody in Canadian motorsports will show up to it. But it's always a building and process, right?
Yeah, for sure. One of the neat things we do at the show, and absolutely everyone's welcome from across Canada, our friends at Fast Eddie Speedwear, they sponsor our Night of Champions, which has just really grown. We started that in our old CME days, the show that we had before this.
Yeah.
And so it started off with short track Night of Champions, and it grew. We added drag racing and then road racing last year. And it's gone well. So if you're a Canadian racer, actually competing anywhere, but if you won a Canadian full season championship at a track or a series, you're welcome to register and come and be honored and celebrated on the stage that night. We're hoping to get 150 between the 3 different disciplines this year. And, it's cool when people go to their banquets, win a track championship, and it's like 2 or 3 or 4, class champions. But this night is really cool on the stage there. That'll be the Saturday night, March 11th, over the course of the afternoon and into the night. Just anyone, champions from all over, different racing disciplines, kids up to grown-ups and the elites and the different touring series, and they're all treated like heroes that night.
Yeah, and nowhere else will you be able to go and get a collection of that cross-section that you're going to get. Not to mention the champions. You've got the displays, the cars that are going to be on display, the talent. I think back, Greg, to the days I met Paul Tracy at the show. He came in one year. I know we had Matt Kenseth come through the show one year. Max Pappas sat with us one year. Like the stories, and it's incredible. What do you got on tap for this year's edition? I know it's building, but what do you got on tap so far?
So in terms of the racing, like I said just off the bat, it really feels like the racing part of it's coming back strong with us being off the late April where we were last year. So it's just the tracks and series are coming back. So the call it Hall 1B, the Stone Ridge Racing Zone, with presented by Inside Track. Just lots of tracks and series. Let's just quickly looking. United Racing Series. So Luke Ramsey, APC, the Superstock Series, and Oscar under that umbrella. They're going to come with a big display. Ontario Sportsman Series, they're coming in again with a big display.
Nice.
Great Lakes Legends, hoping to hear confirmation Tuesday on the Pinty Series participating. And then road racing, BARC, CASC, drag racing, Canada Heads Up, Toronto Motorsport Park. So and then all the tracks. So just a brief rundown: Flamborough, Peterborough, Full Throttle, Sunset, which are going to have the Bill Zardo senior car in there, which is going to be awesome. Really nice tribute.
Yes.
And Stubble Speedway. So anyway, it is like old times, and the tracks and series are there, and to hand out their schedules, talk to fans, talk to racers.
Did I hear you say you're waiting for confirmation on Canada's National Series?
Anyway.
Come on.
No.
It's Canada's national show. Canada's national series got to be there.
No, I'm with you right there. Yeah. But I know,
Yeah, if they're not signed up, they're not they got to do that. Come on now, guys.
Well, no. We're certainly hoping, and
yes.
Obviously it's a very busy time. They're working to get their schedule out, I'm sure, and
yeah, they haven't got that done yet.
Yeah, so anyway, it's a very, very busy time. So anyway, I hope we're one of the dominoes that falls.
It would be kind of cool. You get a lot of personalities that come through, not only in the racing world, but in the car world. You got any names you can leak out tonight that are coming?
I do, and actually a bit of a scoop. So since about Halloween time, when we announced that Dave Kindig was going to be coming on the Saturday of the show from Bitch and Ride. So I think he's about one of the hottest guys in the industry right now in terms of car building and the shows and that type of thing. So we things are going very well, like for the show, and we wanted to try and extend the time that he's coming. So he's going to be there the Saturday and now the Sunday as well.
Nice.
So people coming on the Sunday will get a chance to meet Dave Kindig. One of the neat things, Bad Chad from down east, obviously, you know and love that area.
He builds wicked cars, man.
Oh yeah, no, fun and just nice, and his Queen Jolene, and so they're coming back. So they'll be there all 3 days. And one of the neat things they're doing is participating in a roof chop. Lincoln Electric sponsoring a roof chop.
Cool.
So the local fella Kenny Holmes offered up his car. I think 34 Plymouth.
Yeah.
Anyway, offered up his car, and so Bad Chad, and I think just to members of car clubs and some different guys over the course of the weekend are going to do a roof chop right there.
Gotta love it. That's the kind of thing that's kind of cool at the show. You got tuners, you got everything at this show. Greg, if I could just make one request, if you can find, I don't know whether it's possible or not, but you know who would be cool from an old guy car standpoint? If you could get those loons off of Rust Valley. If we could get the Rust brothers there, either Avery or Mike Hall or Connor, if we could get one of those three or all three of them to drop into the show, wouldn't that be cool? I know their new season is coming up. I follow them all the time on Instagram. I love that show.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of fun. I love it too. And that's definitely on the list for it at some point. So whether or not it happens this year, they would be welcome, and we know they'd be a great draw. So, good idea.
It'd be a lot of fun. Now, fans can stay up to date on everything that's coming out for Motorama, and I know we are just coming off the holidays, and I know things will be all happening in between now and showtime. I have followed you forever. It just about comes out daily. If you don't follow on social media, you should. But if someone wants to check it out, maybe be an exhibitor, do whatever, how do they get in touch with you, bud?
Absolutely. If you go to motoramashow.com, or if you want to send us an email straight to info@motoramashow.com, we'll get right on it. We're all, got several people watching that stuff. Call us anytime if you want as well. But, just reach out anyway. We've got daily news happening. It's starting to ramp up. We're just inside of 2 months now. And, we've got a couple spots left in the Racers Corral. That's another thing where, guys show off their cars right at the start of the year when they're looking beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It costs the same to put a car there that it does in the rest of the show now. So if you want to show off your sponsors and show off your car before it heads into battle, that's another thing. So on the main rotator at the homepage there, it'll one of the things is register a vehicle if you'd like to do that, and you can enter a car in the Racers Corral talking to the racers out there.
Isn't that cool? Good stuff, Greg. You know what? This has been fun. How's Mel? How's the family? Everybody well?
Everyone's great. Yeah, thank you so much.
Good.
And hi to Sue, and I hope Joe's foot heals up.
Yeah, it's gonna. Sue's in the production studio there. She heard you. She can see you. So, she just said, say hi to Greg. Do me a favor. Be well. Be well and get this thing fired up. This is going to be a great Motorama, and I know we're going to be down there.
And the other thing is, just throw this at you now. We've got a stage, a Stone Ridge stage in the racing zone, and we open it up to our partners in the media. So,
perfect.
If you're available and you'd like to do that, then we'll give you time on the stage, and you can bring some guests or talk to other people just in the racing zone and do a show from there if you'd like.
Hands down, Greg. I'm coming. Yeah, it's going to be a blast. I love Motorama, and been great seeing you too, buddy. And say hi to David and say hi to the whole crew.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joe.
You bet. That's Greg MacPherson. You can follow him along. You don't want to miss Motorama. March 10th, 11th, and 12th. Always big stuff happening at the International Center, Toronto. The last break, I promise. We're going to hit it here. On the other side, Trevor Seibert from BC. We're talking RS1 Cup Series next, right here, live on Racetime Radio. Stay with us, everybody.
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
Racetime Radio is brought to you by the Quality Inn, Halifax Airport, the official stay of the Racetime Radio broadcast crew, also by the Wooden Door Bistro.
Even though Napa is a nationally known name, nearly all of our stores are built from the ground up by local owners and families. People you might call neighbors will be here, there, and everywhere. Doing what neighbors do to keep their communities moving forward. You stop by a Napa Auto Parts store, you can count on Napa know-how.
Actor, comedian, producer, musician, and Oscar nominee Dan Aykroyd has done it all. Aykroyd was an original cast member of SNL starting in 1975, and his legendary characters include one half of Two Wild and Crazy Guys, and of course, Elwood Blues. From Ghostbusters to Coneheads to Driving Miss Daisy to Crystal Head Vodka, he is one of Canada's most accomplished citizens. Dan Aykroyd, 2005 inductee on Canada's Walk of Fame.
I
iconic games.
43 points for Stephen Curry. The Golden State Warriors have recaptured home court.
One of the best players in the league requesting a trade.
The Suns and the Heat are among the two teams Durant has on his wish list.
And saying goodbye to one of the greatest players that ever lived.
The passing of NBA legend Bill Russell today at the age of 88.
If you missed our top 10 NBA stories of 2022 with Frank Isola and Mitch Lawrence, hear it anytime with the SXM app. Just search NBA Radio.
Alexa, play NASCAR radio on SiriusXM.
SiriusXM NASCAR radio from SiriusXM.
Get access to NASCAR's biggest names.
Mark Truex Jr.
Kyle Busch.
Chase Elliott.
Hear live coverage of every single race.
They're side by side for the win.
It's unfiltered 24/7 NASCAR.
Welcome to Victory Lane.
We got breaking news. Let's go to the hotline.
This is SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90. Listen on the app or at home on devices equipped with Amazon Alexa. Learn more at SiriusXM.com/NASCAR.
Tonight's Racetime Radio is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts Stores, Port Hawkesbury, New Glasgow, and Antigonish, Nova Scotia.
Drivers, start your engines.
Welcome back to the track. Live on Racetime Radio, SiriusXM 167.
And just like that, we are back with you all live tonight on Racetime Radio, SiriusXM Channel 167. Don't forget to check out our YouTube page, RaceTimeRadioTV. And we are going back to the Zoom hotline, and we welcome in Trevor Seibert. Now we're going to talk RS1 with Trevor. Of course, Penticton Speedway Area 27 and RS1 Cup Series Racing. It's Trevor Seibert. He's back with us. Trevor, you're looking good tonight. You got more light on you, buddy. You look good.
That's good. I've been playing with lighting all afternoon to try and make myself look better. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you like a peach. You got me good?
I do.
Good. How's the week gone for you?
Gone well, actually. I've spent the entire week up in Penticton. As we've talked about before, I live in Vancouver, but I spend an awful lot of time in Penticton because, of course, we have the two racetracks up here, Area 27 and Penticton Speedway, and then the whole operation with Avion Motorsports is in the neighborhood here too. So, it's our slower time of the year for a construction business. So I've had an opportunity to hang out here a little bit and do a lot of those chores, if you will, that you always want to get at during the season that you can't quite get to. So I've been spending quite a bit of time this week talking with members of the team and different things here and getting some things organized for the summer.
Yeah, awesome stuff. You've got everything front-end loaded, man. As soon as, spring breaks out there, your tracks both open up. Your business goes crazy. You're in the air all the time, flying pin to pin. You sort of load it all up on that one end. And I might add, you're an accomplished race car driver. It doesn't seem to matter what you get in, you're competitive. If you're not racing here in Canada, you've been known to slide across the border and jump into the odd wing missile and everything else that you do. And you don't go down there just to run. You go down there to win, and you usually do it. What's all been happening for you? I know you're getting ready to go. How is RS1 Cup Series looking first?
Looking great. We've got a lot of attention from a bunch of younger drivers again, that want to enter the series. It's kind of our forte, where we have a series that is very economical, very high level of competition and quality of car, and being able to do that at the level we do when it comes from the financial side is just very attractive to everybody, really. But like I always say, it's usually the younger drivers that have to go out and find the money. Those of us that have maybe put their years in motorsports and done the sponsorship thing and stuff like that, and found out we weren't going to the big show or we weren't there anymore.
Yeah.
I always say most of us have went and worked, and we've got something behind us to be able to pay our way now. But the younger people, of course, they can't do that. So that's really what we developed the series for, was to help them out along too. And we got a lot of people talking to us all the time about what we can do, and they're always amazed by the cost, because they, you tell them what the budget is minus crash clauses, but we don't have a lot of crashes there. I mean, we knock fenders off and stuff, but very seldom we have big ones. And they're just blown away by that. They're saying, okay, let me get this straight. Okay, that's per weekend, and no, that's per year.
Per year,
Hey, what am I missing? And you're not missing anything. What you're missing is an opportunity. So get out here.
Get out here and get it done. I might add right now, and it'd be an opportune time to do it. And we get a lot of new listeners week to week on Race Time Radio, and we want to welcome absolutely all of you. And if you don't know what RS1 Cup Series is, turn on Rev TV at the end of the show. We end at 9 o'clock on Sunday night. We are live right now. Turn on Rev TV Canada, because I'll tell you, the Area 27 finale from 2022 airs tonight on Rev TV Canada. You don't want to miss it. I'm telling you, it was wild. Watch it. Good caveat into what we're talking about here, Trev. They are a beautiful race car. They're nimble. They stop on a dime. They go like Jack the Bear. And they are a containment car. They are a beautiful race car. And guys don't necessarily, now, they're going to want to buy race cars, but they don't necessarily have to buy their way in. They can rent a ride to start, right?
Absolutely. So we have, I don't know what the exact count is. I do know we have exactly 28 RS1s, but I believe there's probably 20, 21, 22 in there that are actual owners that own their car. We built them for those people. They own them outright. We take care of them. We manage them. We house them. We do everything to those cars. And then the other, whatever that leaves, 6, 7 cars, some we own half shares in. Where somebody says, look, it doesn't make financial sense, or I can't quite swing it to own the whole car. So Avion Motorsports typically owns the other half, and then we find rental drivers for the other half of the time. And people might wonder, well, how does that work? I'm supposed to be in the car. Well, we have 2 series. We have the Challenge Series and we have the Cup Series. So depending on what series you're in, it leaves the car open for the opposite series. And so it works very well. Helps with the financial side of things to pay for the car. You're basically splitting a cost of maintenance between 2 drivers.
Yeah. And
then we have ones that we own outright in Avion Motorsports, and those are the ride and drive scenarios on a rental program. And again, it usually lends itself more to the younger drivers who can't quite afford to go out and buy their car.
Right.
The old guys usually rent one from us for a race or 2 and go, man, I love this stuff, but I want to have my own. I want to be able to come here. It's wrapped in my colors, my name on the door, my number, and leave it that way. And absolutely, so they end up usually buying a car. The younger guys get into it, at least try a rental deal for a few races, because it's very affordable. And they can see what they can do in those cars. And again, they get attracted to it, and then they realize, I should own my own car, because it does lower the cost over time, of course, because it's your own.
Yeah,
now you're just paying for the maintenance and the operation of it once you own it. The other very cool thing we've been able to do with the RS1s, and Al Liebert and I have both been very conscious of making sure that we keep the resale value of these cars up. Mm-hmm. So that when you do invest in a car, they're a $130,000 car now, which they really should be a $180,000 car. We make no money on these cars when we build them and sell them. I can tell you that.
Right.
Al and I made a deal years ago where we're going to sell these cars at cost. We're going to build the series first. We'll worry about making money on the sale of cars some other time.
Right.
First, you have to have the series. So we've done that. So our car price now is $130,000, thereabouts. And when we first started 6 years ago, our goal was to build a car for under $100,000. Well, that was even then was tough, but we managed, and we sold quite a few cars under that. Now, getting back to the resale thing, we're not scared of talking dollars, right? And that's something you never hear about. I'm saying it in public right now. We have never sold a used car for less than $75,000.
Right.
And that includes the ones that are 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the cool part is,
so I've got owners that spent $15,000 to own a car for 5 years and traded it in or sold it to somebody else and bought a new car.
Yeah, try do that with anybody else. Yeah. Unheard of. Not to mention the fact that I have never seen, like I did last year, the RS1 Cup Series. Man, it not only I gravitated to it, but it grabbed me. It's a very, very cool series to watch. There wasn't one driver, Trevor Seibert, that I seen come into the series, try it once, and then go home.
No,
not once.
Very true.
Yeah, they come back.
I tell people, we give you the first hit, and after that, the addiction's your problem, right?
Yeah.
And it's true. They get in these cars and they love it. I think back about when Andrew Ranger came out for the first time, or J.R. Fitzpatrick, or you know, some of the other boys that have run a lot of the Pinty stuff, for example, and they come out and they look at the car, and it looks similar to a Pinty's car. I mean, we use the same body,
right?
Okay, but they get in the thing and it stops and it turns and it goes, and they get out and they go, what's the difference here, guys? Like, I mean, they're beautifully built.
Yep.
But what's the big difference? I said, I'll tell you what the big difference is. We left 700 pounds at the shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I think that the Pinty's cars are around a 3,100 pound car, if I remember correctly, and ours are coming out of the shop at 2,450.
Yeah.
Without the driver.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I mean, that's light. So you try and stop that compared to something that's packing 500, 600, 700 pounds more in it, and it's just night and day.
Oh, yeah. So they got a wing on the back. They're a beautiful car.
Well, and again, at Area 27, you know, you got a lot of guys driving different things. You know, they'll be out there in a Radical, or out there in a really high-end street car, or whatever. Even some open-wheel cars. They bring everything to the track, like most racetracks, and just run it on our track days. And I'll say, get in this thing, try this thing out. And they get out and they're totally blown away. Said, I had no idea how well this thing would handle. I said, I know you've probably been told, oh, those grocery getters, those are boats, this or that. But because they look that way a little bit. Let's be serious. The stock cars always look that way.
Yeah.
Right?
Taxi cab.
But they're not once you strap yourself into it.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got a lot of those guys. They tried it one time. They got out and they went, okay, now this is cool. I want to get out there with the other 25 guys and go play.
Now, they're evenly matched. When we say evenly matched, I mean the IROC Crown Royal series that we used to see in NASCAR, where those cars were evenly matched. You had a guy like Dave Marcus testing and tuning all the cars to match them all up. And then you would see all the drivers come in, get into the cars, and they're evenly matched. I'm talking that evenly matched. Because they're all fed, watered, and housed at Avion Motorsports, they get those cars with the same setup, the same parts, the same everything. The difference is the driver behind the wheel. And it's not to say that you haven't got any adjustment, because you do. You can adjust tire pressure. You can adjust load bolt in the rear, right?
You can adjust the panhard bar in the back.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And you're allowed to adjust the wing. A lot of people say, oh, that wing doesn't mean nothing. Trevor, does that wing mean anything?
Well, I tell you, anybody who knows anything about aerodynamics knows that at 160 mile an hour, if you roll your window down and stick your hand out, there's aerodynamics out there. Now, if you take a 1 foot wide by 7 foot wide or whatever our wing is in the back and try and hold that out the window and see what happens.
Yeah.
And do that 100 kilometers an hour, not 160 miles an hour, which is what we're doing going down into turn 2 at Area 27. It absolutely does something. And we have a front splitter on the car too, so the balance is there. You know, if we didn't have the splitter, we'd have a problem. We'd have way too much aero in the back.
The schedule is out for the RS1 Cup Series, and Al tuned us into this before the holidays. You got something brand new that you're going to be doing right off the bat. I had no idea there was a short track, not a short track oval, but a short track at Area 27. But he tuned me in. You're going to use it, too, on a non-points paying event right off the beginning of the year. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so when we designed Area 27, Jock and I and Bill had this, not a theory, but we loved racetracks that were true racetracks, not test tracks. Because you see a lot of the new tracks now, they brag about how many configurations. We got 16 different configurations we can do, and you look at them, look like somebody threw spaghetti on the ground.
Yeah.
And that's great if that's what you do in training, but we wanted a racetrack, a through and through racetrack. So, but when you have a 3 mile long racetrack, it's a long way to go around when you have a yellow or you have an emergency vehicle, whatever. So we built what we call the bypass, and it's basically turns it into a half track. We also have a provision in the design that I did that we can put the other half of the bypass in, if you will, so we can make 2 tracks out of it. Right now, you can either run the long version or the short version. And when you watch an Area 27, an RS1 race, if you see the pace car laps, we actually go through what we call the short course. We have this theory that nobody cares about going for 3 miles on a yellow flag or prior to getting the green. So we go through the bypass and we shorten it. And we've always talked about having a race. where we use it's built. It's part of a race track. It was probably designed to be used as a racetrack. It's not just a road. There's curbing there and everything else. And so yeah, we're going to do that. So we have what we're calling preseason Thunder, and it's a non-points race. Just to give another race at Area 27 because we were a bit biased towards too many ovals compared to the road course thing. And our thoughts are we haven't quite come up with the whole scheme yet, but we're going to try and incorporate a bit of a team program, if you will, between the challenge drivers and the cup drivers. And we're not quite sure how we're going to do that, but we're going to do it in that fashion just to kind of break the ice in the spring, give some people a chance to get out there. But we're going to run at least one of the races. We're going to use the short track. The other thing it does is it gives the people watching something. They can watch the entire race, I guess. You can see the entire track from a couple of locations there if you run the short course.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's going to add a totally different element to it. You're going to be able to do the long course that day. You're going to be able to do the short course and then back to the long course. It's going to be a real one of those attention getters. Even the guys that are used to running RS1 Cup Series are going to look at that and go, huh, Trevor, you come up with a new wrinkle. Good deal. I can't wait.
Well, so you talked a little bit about the setup, and it doesn't sound like much, but there's something there between tire pressure, panhard bar, and wing. Now you run the short course. Does the wing really pay much,
Yeah.
Is there much advantage to using the wing? And the other thing that's gone on over the years, guys got a little bit smarter with this thing and say, well, geez, we run mostly left-hand turns. What if I ran the panhard bar or my air pressures or whatever to try and run more lefts than right? Give up a right-hand corner to make a really good left-hand corner. And maybe vice versa. I don't know. Guys are trying different things to get an advantage because the cars are identical. And so when you run the short course, you go from the long to the short to the long. But you're going to see a lot of guys underneath their car or getting one of the Avion guys under their car to change their, to change a panhard bar and make a couple changes to switch back and forth. But of course, what I like about it is everybody's in the same boat. We're not going to get a chance to practice on it necessarily. Maybe we'll do a morning warm-up on it for a couple laps, but you won't have a chance to figure it out. So now it truly is about, well, let's see which one of you guys can feel what your car needs quicker than the next guy, too. Throw that at it. So, and I like that, doing that in the environment in a non-points race.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you get it wrong, it's a bit of a situation where you can kind of tease each other about how you mess it up or how you did good or what did you do or whatever. Maybe even share some information without giving away the farm because it's not for points.
Yeah, no, and that's a great idea to do it that way. And it kind of sounds like a little bit of a Penticton or a Saskatchewan. Let's throw away turn 1 and 2 so we can get turn 3, 4 kind of idea, right? Like both ends are slightly different. Are you going to be really good in 1, 2? Are you going to be good in 3, 4? You want the car to be good all the way around, but
if you look at it, there is only one right-hander.
Yeah.
If you run the short course, it's a whole. Well, there's 2. I guess there's 2. I forgot about 1. So there's 2 right-handers, and I'd have to count up the rest. But anyways, it's mostly left-hand turns. So be pretty interesting, all right, to see if some guys try and dump a bunch of air out of one side and maybe actually put some stagger in the car and different things like that as well. So, because we run a locker rear end, right? So once you got your foot in the thing, it acts. The stagger would help you on the left-hand turns, but we've got a fairly sharp hairpin in there and a fairly fast right-hand sweeper, I guess, in the mix. So you're going to give too much away on that.
No,
Again, I think it's kind of cool. I think it's that type of weekend where you don't have all the marbles in there. You're not worrying about really mess up the weekend at the start of the season. You kind of get the cobwebs out and give some people an opportunity to try some things with their car.
Yeah, and then it gets
before
real.
They go to the points, before they start collecting points.
Yeah, and when the points all come around, you're going to want to have your ducks in a row, because I'll tell you what, you're going against some of the best across Canada right there in the RS1 Cup Series. Got some listener viewer questions, and one of them comes from Glenn Cameron. Loves the RS1 Cup Series, witnessed it on Rev TV Canada. He really likes you, Trevor, as a driver. He'd like to know, someday will this come to Ontario? He can see this RS1 Cup Series running at Delaware and Sauble and different racetracks. He aspires to see this sucker come across Canada. Is that in the plan one day?
Well, I've been asked that question forever since we made the first car, right? And You know, I preface it by saying I don't say really no to anything that might be a possibility down the road, because you see how things grow and they evolve, and it starts to make sense. I think right now what my focus has been West Coast, and probably the biggest reason for that is if you look in Ontario and you look in Quebec, it's really saturated with a lot of good racing series. It really is, right? Whether you're talking short track or whether you're talking road course stuff, whatever you're doing, there's a lot of good series there. You know, would we find a home there? Yeah, probably. I guess. I mean, we got a formula that nobody's doing right now, but it won't happen in 2023 or 4.
Yeah,
I'm pretty confident in that. But we are putting a lot of effort into making this thing go up and down the West Coast, including EUS. So a lot of beautiful tracks in California and Nevada and Arizona. You know, Tucson, Sears Point. You know, where that's called today, Laguna Seca, all those great tracks. You know, I can really see us being down in those areas and attracting a bigger U.S. contingent, especially for the dollars. You go across the board there and cross the border, and all of a sudden you got a 30% least advantage on your money.
Right.
Those guys probably just do it on the side of everything else they're doing, just to do it, because it's just a cheap add-on for them, right?
Oh, absolutely. Glenn,
I appreciate I appreciate the sentiment that they'd like to see us over there, and I don't know, maybe it is a one-off race sometime, or once a year type of thing where we travel to the east. It's very expensive though, and some of it goes against our core by keeping the cost down.
Absolutely, it does. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Glenn followed up with another question a little bit later, and he says, hey, Motorama's coming up. Is there a chance we could ever meet Trevor Seibert at Motorama and maybe see an RS1 car there?
So I was given a great opportunity by one of the very well-known participants there. I won't say anything yet because we haven't done anything, but I was given a personal invitation to bring one of our RS1s to show it off there, and to have myself and maybe Riley and maybe a few of our other drivers actually come out and introduce ourselves in our series and show off the car and stuff like that. So we do have a couple of cars back east right now at L. Liebert's that are getting refurbished. Unfortunately, that this opportunity came up very recently, and I don't know if we'll have those cars back together. I am looking at another way of pulling this off, though, having a car there. I would love to be there. I think it would be even better if I'm there with a car. I think people need to see what we've got, and experience it, and then it attracts attention, and then we can talk to them about what our program really is about. Because we do need to be there. We do have a lot of drivers that come out of the east.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of attention out of the east. So
from Ontario and even further east, all the way out to Newfoundland, Nova Scotia.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and welcome them to BC and to jump into an RS1 Cup car.
Yeah. So back to his question. Stay tuned, right? I'm seeing what I can do to pull that off in short order, because this opportunity just came up very recently.
That's cool, Trev. I know more than the one fan would enjoy meeting you. We have in the NASCAR Pinty Series back in the day when it was the Canadian Tire Series. Met you and Riley. Both of you ran the series. But look, now you got you're a multi-winner. And Riley, how about it? Western Rattler 300 winner, RS1 Cup Series champion. His accolades keep growing. It'd be kind of cool to see him back in Ontario soil, just to say hello. That'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do have to show off our talent that we have out here, and he did a great job winning that. We've got plenty of other drivers that have the same kind of talents, and we need to show them off. And that's what our series is about: is grow some of this young talent.
Trev, we are up along the top of the clock again. You see that? You and I can blow through time just like nothing. But I do want to remind everybody to tune into Rev TV Canada to catch the RS1 Cup Series. If you're watching on Sunday Night Live or listening like you should, it's going to start in like a minute and a half on Rev TV Canada. You got Rev TV there? You're going to crank it on and watch what you did?
I'm in my RV. I don't have it, but Riley's got it about 2 kilometers away in his condo, so I might have to jump my truck and run over there and join him, watch it tonight.
Do it. Trevor, thanks so much for the time, brother. I know I look forward to getting you on again, and we'll get some updates. RS1 Cup competition. The schedule is up to date. It's on Avion, motorsports.com, and thanks so much for the time. Genuinely appreciate it, bud.
Thanks, Joe. Always appreciate being on your show.
You betcha. That's Trevor Seibert. Always dynamite to catch up with Trevor. That is going to do it for us tonight on Race Time Radio. We are right there. Man, I'll tell you what, surely enjoyed it. Got to thank Sue here in the Race Time Radio studio. Got to thank Scotty back in Toronto and all of our guests here tonight. Man, it's been cool talking everything from soup to nuts. Joe Jr., get that foot healed up. We got to get you back in the studio and get feeling better. But that's going to do it. I'm Joe Chisholm. You enjoy yourself. Have a great week. Speed Weeks is coming. We'll talk New Smyrna next week. Caden Lapsevich will join us next week. We'll talk Daytona, ARCA. Oh, we got a great one coming at you. Have a good week, everybody, and be safe.
Thanks for listening to Race Time Radio. Visit us on the web at www.racetimeradio.com. We hope you'll join us again next time for more Race Time Radio.
Come on now, dig.
Exclusively on your home